course, the neighbors have to ruin my video with their noisy truck and trailer. This is what you call an aberrant version of the species. These are mostly pin cherries. It's a native cherry, edible but not desirable, really small, not very sweet. But most of them are like these. Very tall, short branches, just go up, up, up. If left alone. This one, on the other hand, usually when a tree does this, it's because the top broke off and then the branches become trunks. But this one, at most, this one might be a second tree that kind of grew together with it, maybe. But this one, no. That one, no. That one, no. That one died. But it's just very different. Very different. Alright, we're just backtracking on this. It just went out and made a loop. This is my newest trail. Just walking only. No way to drive anything through here other than maybe a motorcycle or something. But I don't want that on this one. The other trails are kind of used for working too. So I haul branches back out back and sort of thing like that. I was hoping the birds would be more active. They're not super active. It's a little too late in the day. It's about 10:30, 11 a.m. This area was primarily blackberry, so I just kind of mowed it. So it'll look like rubbish for a while. These yellow flowers are gorgeous, but it's Scotch broom and it's spreading like crazy. I just realized how much it's spread. So I'm in the process of cutting it all out. That's why I mowed back here, so I could get to it. It's non-native, and it kind of just takes over, like the blackberries. They're like small shrubs. Look at these blackberries, man. This is snowberry. There's actually a colony, or at least there was last couple of years, a colony of Taylor's checker spot. And they lay their eggs on these, and then the caterpillars feed on them. They make little white berries. Somebody's preparing for World War III over there. Either that or it just started. Civil War #2. Hunt down the woke. The woke and the brown people from south of the border. It's a Douglas fir. A smaller one. It's probably like 10 years old. This one is probably like, well, let's see. Probably 75 years old. Some of these bigger ones. They were left alone because this is on federal land now. They used to be part of the farm, but so this is the boundary right here. So we can walk down there, but I don't tend to do it anymore. I'll demonstrate the reason for that in a moment. This is a native clematis. It's like a vine plant. It makes neat flowers, but they're not like the cultivated brands or varieties. Yeah, constantly fighting the blackberries. Have to cut them back because they like to choke out the thing. This is more of a like cultivated cherry, as you can see there. Larger cherries. There was actually an apple tree out in the where the pin cherries were, but I forgot about showing it. There's little apples on it. Just a random one. Probably some birds will drop seeds out there. So this, I like this. It's a little section of deciduous trees. It's kind of cold in here. The nice thing is that the more shady it is, the less the blackberries will grow, so they're easier to handle. But so I kind of mow out a little more once in a while. It makes it easier. Just kind of widen it out. Gives me time to, yeah, but see, this house was vacant for a long time, and before that, the people that lived there, now they had junk too, but not like this. And back in the 50s, the property owner of this farm sold or somehow transferred 8 acres from the original 40, or at least 40 at that time, to the federal government, the Bonneville Power Administration. And I think that was a hawk up there. He got permission to build that dam as part of the deal. It's an earthen dam, probably for irrigation purposes. because the wells around here are not really good for irrigation. Then these guys showed up, these rednecks, and they shot the hell out of that drain pipe. Let's see if we can. It's too bright. I can't see what I'm doing here. I think that's it right there somewhere. Can't see it. So they moved in here. The guy has a business, and it's just junk everywhere. It's not too bad from this angle, but there's back in the woods. There's a bunch of junk cars parked in there. Oh, there we go. I think those are red-tailed hawks. Can't tell if they're on camera or not. Can't see, but up there somewhere, I believe those are red-tailed hawks. Actually, maybe not. They might be buzzards. Turkey vultures, something like that. They're scavengers. That's more of that clematis. And there's some more Scotch broom that I have to deal with at some point. So I mow all of this. I used to do it with a push mower. Now I have a powered thing, but it's a walk behind. It's a zero turn. These are, that's a wild rose. Hasn't bloomed yet. There's lots of those around here. I leave those alone. They're kind of a mess. They're thorny, but then I don't know what kind of tree that is. I haven't figured it out. Serviceberry? I don't know. Yeah, these wild rose, they grow up in the trees. They're kind of cool. Lots of snowberries in here. Yeah, see, look at that over there. So they're over there shooting guns and they got all their junk and everything. So I don't know. I used to go down to the water and enjoy it, but it's just not the same anymore. Look at all that crap he's got leaned up against that barn. And there's a oval trail over there that we'll be to in a second. Or a minute. A minute 5. Lots of wild blackberries growing here. They're pretty tasty if they produce. All depends on the weather. Oh, here we go. We got some blooming roses, wild roses. See, they're just like a single petal. They're not. Yeah, sometimes they smell. Those ones don't seem to have a scent. That one didn't. Yeah, it's interesting. It must be because there's more sun, so they're blooming. Oh, here's another one over there that makes white flowers. That's a nettle patch. I used to pick nettles in there. It got smaller for some reason, but it's a whole lot of nettles. I used to pick those for a guy that sold natural foods. This used to be totally overgrown with blackberries, and I drag big heavy metal thing that I made. I drag it behind my quad periodically. As long as I don't let them get big, then it doesn't hurt anything. But once they get like that, it's trickier to do it because there can be rabbits and whatnot living in there. I do use some herbicide on the property, but very sparingly, only when there's really no other way to deal with them. And I'm careful with it. It's a burdock plant. Not good for the animals. Get stuck in their hair, you end up having to cut the hair out. It happened to me once. When I had long hair, I had to cut it off. There's a, what are those called? Elderberry tree up there. It's probably a red elderberry, so we can't eat them, but all that back there was all overgrown. I used to have a trail that went from the woods here around back and then went down to the access road. And there's beaver ponds and stuff up there that somebody else made the trails, but I used to mow them. I stopped mowing them because I didn't go down there. Let the neighbors do it if they care. Some nice ferns over there. Big cottonwood, Douglas fir, elderberry, lots of fir trees. I don't know what this thing is. I've had to fight it many times. I don't know what it is. Oh, here, now this is a nice crop of ferns. They're, boy, I'm not sure what those are. Bracken ferns? They're not, yeah, I think they're bracken ferns. They're not sword ferns, and those are common. That's just cutting in from around the other side. And I used to have a garden back here. Let's see, how do we do this? Let's make a loop. So I've been trying to keep it under control in case I ever decide to try to recover it. Had a little field of wheat here. It turned out well. Spring red wheat. So I had a hoop house there at one point. Although I think that was the beginnings of one that never got finished. But my hoop house was really short because I didn't have much material. So I couldn't stand up in it. But it worked pretty well. Tomatoes and peppers. And this is an interesting thing here. It's like a shrub. The deer have been picking on this blackberry, and it just kind of, it's a shrub. I don't know why they do that sometimes. So this goes down to the next field. Now I had a horse in here for a while, an old horse, 30 years old or more, and she needed regular forage. And she was old and gentle. The fencing isn't that great down here, so I can't really put another horse in here. The rest of them are pretty spunky. But she was slow. It's contained, but it's not ideal, especially out here where I can't see her. Couldn't see her. That is a hawthorn. I believe these are native. There's another one. These all down here, man, they've gotten big. Wild rose. Wild rose. Wild rose. Wild rose. And then these hawthorns here. They're cool, but they are nasty. Can you see that? Can't tell. It's possible to see. Oh, here we go. See, there's spikes. These are painful. They almost hurt just looking at them. Oh, yeah, look at all that. A hawthorn with a bunch of wild rose, snowberries. The snowberries take over really good, but they're easy to cut back and they're not too bad. But a lot of this used to be overgrown blackberries, and the horse kind of opened it up a little bit. She was pretty good about walking. She'd just be seeking out grass. These are daisies. There's some kind of insect that goes around here putting this foamy stuff everywhere. But there's a few that are blooming, but at some point this is just going to be full of those things. It's really pretty. So I try and go through with my clippers every now and then and try to keep the blackberries back and the other branches. I trimmed this thistle yesterday, and you gotta go slow. These are wild iris. There's a lot of these down by the pond. That's a big old cottonwood. They smell like honey in the early spring. It's kind of in the air. These are all little pockets that Lucy, the horse, kind of pushed back in there, and so I've been mowing it just to keep it, and cutting the blackberries back just to keep it from filling in again. This one's tough. It gets closed off every now and then. Little pocket. And that goes up to the another field that goes up to the barn. So this is cool back here. The blackberries they're not ugly. It's just if you let them go, they'll just fill everything. Oh, wow, look at this. That's a wild rose. That's really blooming. If I could get to those, I bet they smell good. Oh, yeah, this is a nice thing. Ow! There we go. All right. Yeah. Yeah, nature takes a while to recover on its own. Like these, that's probably I don't know, a 10-year-old fir tree. And there's a lot of fir trees that drop cones, but the squirrels get most of the seeds. And then when they do germinate, when they're small, critters like birds will come along and hack them off. That nice little nest of wild iris. Pretty, they don't have a scent. This is St. John's wort. It's a medicinal plant. It's not native, but it's harmless. I'm not worried about it. Wild iris back there. There's another fir tree that managed to survive somehow. Elderberry. And actually, all these cottonwoods are all new in the last 12 years. Those are all new. And then that big one was probably the size of that one when it started. But cottonwood grow pretty fast. Oh, look, a chemtrail. I'm scared. I'm scared of things that I don't understand. I think this is a plum, but I've never seen plums on it. That's the thing I drag around on the blackberries. Some heavy old grates, street stormwater grates with an old Volkswagen tow bar. Has a hitch on it. That used to be one of my water barrels when I had a garden out here. It's got had a spigot on there, on that pipe. At one point I had some big tanks up here that were 300 gallons a piece, but it just got to be too much trouble. But I had quinoa grew back here pretty well. It doesn't mind minimal or no water, perhaps. I never tried it with no water, but all right. This is interesting. This tree must have been loaded with cones because these are all of this is since last summer. Not a usual thing to see that big pile of chewed up cones. So this has been kind of my little baby here, and trying to I opened it up by cutting all the dead branches like those and burning them up. May not be as natural looking, but it doesn't hurt anything. And then you can kind of walk in here. Snowberries don't mind the shade. But the evergreens, when they get big enough, the canopies are touching. They don't allow a whole lot of things to grow in here. Sword ferns. Those are sword ferns over in there. And of course, there's my hut. And all of this was planted in early, like spring of 2021. This started in 2020, about August. That's a hazelnut tree. Probably a wild hazelnut. So what I would call a hazelnut, not what I call a filbert, is from England, but people now, they call them hazelnuts, I guess, because it sounds more appealing than filbert. Go to Burrville and get a filbert milkshake. But yeah, these are difficult to transplant. These are sword ferns. Oh, there's a nettle growing there. So some of this stuff just kind of voluntarily came up. I put a lot of moss, a lot of this clay material on the bottom, but there's probably at least 1,000 pounds sitting on top of this, and that's when it's dry. There's a lot of material there. Even threw some rocks up here, trying to make it look natural. Oh wow, I don't know what this thing is. Wow, that's interesting. Let's just throw random branches on here, make it look like what nature would have. Because the ground here would be covered in branches, but I use them to burn in the fire, and it's just a little area where it's opened up so I can recreate here. Some random junk around here. These are all the pots over here that I used to haul soil out of the tunnel. The tunnel, which is 13 feet down and comes to about here. It starts, there's a vertical tunnel inside the hut, and then it kind of angles or curves like this and straightens out. It's about, actually it might be further over here, I'm not sure. It's probably 10 feet out. It might even be more like out to here, not sure. Thought about trying to do some math and figure it out. And that big pile, that's just the stuff that didn't get used here to make the cob hut, because that's thick. That's like a foot thick at the bottom and probably more like 8 to 10 inches at the top. And then, of course, some went on the roof. Some of it's there still. And then I took a bunch of it over to the barn to fill in a low spot. So there's kind of a trail that goes off that way, and this trail here used to extend out, like I said before. Went over that way, kind of out beyond the trees. Yeah, so this is just kind of a circle. It goes over here to the woods. And there's a great big nettle plant. Look at the size of these leaves. The leaves get bigger when they're in the shade. It's probably to try to gather more light. I've seen them bigger. Definitely, most of them are probably usually about that size, the bigger ones. But yeah, I'm not even bothered. I can feel them. I can feel the stings, but it doesn't bother me. Used to be a little, let's see, there's another hazelnut tree. And then lots of that clematis. The clematis is, I mean, look at the size of that stalk. There's one back in here somewhere that's like 2 inches in diameter. But there's kind of an old pit there that we used to ride ATVs up that thing. It's like a steep little incline. I dumped a bunch of old rotten wood in there and some tansy ragwort. So all of this was totally overgrown with blackberries. So I mow it and drag the thing across it once in a while, and it's helping. I mean, all of this grass used to be blackberries. Same out there. It's kind of gotten worse since I first did it, but that used to be solid blackberries. Look at how tall those nettles are. These nettles will just keep going up, up, up until they get the sun. Obviously not when they're under a 50-foot tall fir tree, but they do get up there. There's my brother's junkyard. Oh, there's a horse in here, but the trail used to extend. I mean, I moved beyond this, and then it went over there, and my house is just behind that big tall tree. I think it's like an aspen or something. It's the tallest tree on the property, and it's massive when you're up next to it. There's big giant trunks. All right, if you watched for 36 minutes, congratulations and thank you. Have a nice day.